I was sitting alone at my kitchen table, staring at a cold microwave dinner, when my phone buzzed. It was a photo from my cousin Emily. My heart dropped the second I opened it. There they were, my whole family, smiling at a long table, plates filled with pancakes, sausages, deviled eggs, fresh fruit, and fancy mimosas. Everyone looked happy. Everyone except me, because I wasn't there. The caption read, "Can't believe you missed this. LOL." But I hadn't missed it. They told me it was canceled. They said the restaurant was under construction. They said nobody was going. I stared at the screen for what felt like forever. My stomach turned. My head felt light. My hand began to shake. They lied. Why? That's a question that haunted me as I sat frozen in my chair. And then I saw something else in the corner of that photo, something I wasn't supposed to see. But let me take you back to where it all began. Growing up, I wasn't a favorite. I'm not trying to play the victim card. I was just different. While my cousins joined soccer teams and cheerleading squads, I liked building robots and reading about planets. Family barbecues were always loud and chaotic, and I preferred quiet. I tried to fit in when I was younger. But somewhere around middle school, I realized forcing yourself to laugh at jokes you don't find funny only makes you lonelier. Still, I love my family, especially my aunt Denise, Emily's mom. She always made time to talk to me, always brought me the first slice of pie at Thanksgiving, always smiled when I talked about my projects. She said I had an old soul and that one day people would appreciate that. After college, I stayed in our hometown while most of my cousins moved to the city. I started working at a local tech repair shop. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. I even saved up enough to get my own place. Tiny, but mine. A week before Easter, Mom texted me in our group chat. "Hey guys, this year's brunch is at Rosie's Garden Cafe again. 11 a.m., same as always. Can't wait to see everyone." I was excited. Roses was our family tradition. Every Easter Sunday, we'd gather there, dressed in pastel colors, stuffing ourselves with cinnamon rolls and scrambled eggs. I'd even gotten a new pale blue shirt just for the occasion. Then 3 days before Easter, another text came in, this time from Uncle Rick. "Change of plans. Roses is under construction. Total mess. No brunch this year. Maybe next week." Aunt Denise chimed in. "Yep, I drove by yesterday. Place is torn up. Such a shame." One by one, my family responded with disappointment. "Oh man, was looking forward to it." "Oh well, guess we'll skip this year. Maybe we can do a cookout later." I was bummed. Sure, but it made sense. Construction happens. I stayed home Easter Sunday, still wearing my new blue shirt, just in case someone decided to swing by. No one did. Instead, I made myself a TV dinner, turkey and mashed potatoes. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't Easter brunch. Then came that photo. I stared at it, my breath catching in my throat. I zoomed in. There was no construction, no caution tape, no scaffolding, just flowers, sunshine, and family. I read the caption again. "Can't believe you missed this. LOL." I didn't know what was worse, being left out, or the laughing LOL that felt like a stab. I didn't respond right away. I didn't trust myself not to say something I'd regret. But that wasn't all. In the corner of the photo, just behind Uncle Rick, I saw a familiar face, someone who wasn't in the family, someone I hadn't seen in years, someone who used to be my best friend until something happened between us that I never quite got over. Seeing her, there was like reopening a scar I thought had faded. I couldn't stop staring. Why was she there? Why was I not? Back in high school, I had a friend named Cara. She was funny, loud, and full of energy, everything I wasn't. Somehow, we clicked. We did everything together. She came to my house so often my mom joked about charging her rent. I thought we'd be friends forever. But near the end of senior year, she changed. She started hanging with a popular crowd, going to parties I wasn't invited to. Then one day, she stopped texting back. No big fight. No drama. Just silence. I reached out a few times after graduation, but she never answered. It hurt more than I admitted. So seeing her in that picture, laughing beside my family, felt like betrayal layered on betrayal. I needed answers, but I knew barging into the group chat demanding explanations would make me look crazy or bitter. So I waited. I didn't text Emily back. I didn't say a word. But the next morning, something strange happened. A knock at my door. I opened it, and there she was, Cara, holding a small white bag from Rosie's and looking more nervous than I'd ever seen her. I thought you might want some leftovers, she said, eyes not meeting mine. My heart thumped. My hands curled into fists by my side. I didn't speak. I couldn't. She held out the bag, her fingers trembling. And that's when I noticed a little card taped to it, one with my name on it in my Aunt Denise's handwriting. I took the bag, opened it, and what I saw inside almost made me drop it, because it wasn't just food. It was a note, and the words on that note, they changed everything that I unfolded the note with trembling hands. It was written in Aunt Denise's usual swirly cursive, the kind she used on birthday cards and Christmas letters. Only this time, it wasn't filled with warmth. It read, "I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Please don't be mad at Cara. I asked her to deliver this. We need to talk, but not over text. Things got complicated. Call me when you're ready." Complicated? That word rolled around in my head like a marble in an empty glass. What could possibly be complicated about telling me the truth? I looked up from the note to Cara, who was now standing awkwardly with her hands in her hoodie pocket. She didn't look smug or proud. She looked guilty. She noticed me staring and gave a faint, shaky smile. "I didn't know what was really going on," she said softly. "Not at first." My throat was dry, but I managed to speak. "Why were you there?" Cara looked at me, then down at the floor. "I'll tell you, but can we sit down? Please." We ended up in my tiny living room, sitting across from each other like strangers. I kept the note in my hand like it was a shield. She explained that she'd been in touch with Aunt Denise again for the past few months. They'd run into each other at a charity run, and from there, things snowballed. They caught up, talked about old times, and even had coffee a few times. Aunt Denise had always liked Cara, said she had a bright spirit. Cara had even helped her plan the brunch, and my mouth dropped open. "So, you helped plan it? You knew the whole time I wasn't invited." Cara's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know you weren't invited until the day before. I thought maybe you were busy, or couldn't come. When I asked Denise, she just said, 'Let's not get into it right now.' And I didn't push. I should have. I'm sorry." I didn't say anything. I couldn't trust my words. Anger, confusion, betrayal, it all pressed against my chest like a weight I couldn't lift. Cara reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. She tapped a few times, then turned the screen to me. A video? I didn't want to watch it, but I did. It was taken at the brunch. Everyone was smiling, laughing, passing food around. In the background, I saw my mom clink glasses with Uncle Rick. I saw Emily feeding a piece of waffle to her boyfriend. I saw Aunt Denise get up and make a toast. And then I heard the toast. "To family," she said, "to being surrounded by the people who lift us up and bring joy into our lives. Today, let's focus on love, not guilt. On light, not shadows. Some people just don't fit in the picture right now, and that's okay." The room cheered. I didn't. I felt cold. Some people don't fit in the picture. Was she talking about me? I closed my eyes, trying not to let the burning in my throat turn into tears. Cara finally spoke again. "I know this is all messed up, but I think there's more going on than you know. I think something happened. Something big. I overheard your uncle talking about a choice that had to be made, but I don't know what it means." That word again. Choice. What kind of choice would require leaving someone out of their own family gathering? I felt like a puzzle piece shoved in the wrong box. Everything hurt. The note, the toast, the fake excuse about construction, the way everyone pretended nothing happened. But most of all, the silence. How could they do this without telling me anything? I looked back at the note again. "Call me when you're ready." I wasn't ready. Not yet, but I would be. Later that night, I sat on my bed staring at the ceiling, Cara long gone. The food from the brunch sat cold in the fridge. I couldn't eat it. It felt tainted. I was replaying the video toast in my head when my phone buzzed. Another message, this time from Emily. No words, just a photo again, but not of the brunch. It was a picture of a small brown envelope, and on the envelope was my name, torn open. Inside, barely visible, was a letter and a check. I texted her back immediately. "What is this?" She replied within seconds. "You were never supposed to see this. I found it in Aunt Denise's room. She was going to mail it to you after Easter. I think they were planning to cut you out." The screen swam in front of me. Cut me out? Cut me out of what? I was about to text again when the phone rang. It was Aunt Denise. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Not until I found out what was in that envelope. So I drove to Emily's house. It was pouring rain by the time I got there. Thunder cracked through the sky as I banged on the door. Emily opened it, her eyes wide with guilt and worry. She didn't say anything, just handed me the envelope. My fingers were soaked from rain, but I opened it slowly. Inside was a typed letter. Formal, cold. It was from a lawyer. It started with, "To the beneficiary regarding the family property estate decision." And that's when I realized this wasn't just about brunch. This was about money, about inheritance. And my name was being quietly removed. Before I could even read the second paragraph, Emily gasped behind me, "Wait, that's not the only letter." She rushed to her bedroom and returned with another envelope. This one was handwritten, also addressed to me, and inside it was something even more shocking than the legal letter. Something that made my knees go weak and my breath catch in my chest. Something that changed everything I thought I knew about my family and myself. The handwritten letter trembled in my soaked hands as I stared down at the familiar loops of Aunt Denise's cursive. It was clearly written with care. The envelope still smelled faintly of lavender, the signature said. For a second, I was just Rachel again, the niece who spent summers in her garden, who helped her roll out pie crusts and stayed up late watching black and white movies. That memory lasted exactly one breath. I unfolded the letter slowly. Emily hovered behind me, silent. The first line hit me like a slap. "Rachel, I never wanted it to come to this." Come to what? I kept reading. "There are things you don't know about your father's side of the family. Things I tried to keep hidden for your sake. But now that the estate is changing hands and decisions are being made, I've had no choice but to act in what I believe is best for the future of this family. You've always been different, and while I admire your heart and independence, not everyone sees those qualities as assets. Some see them as threats." I froze. "Threats? You were never supposed to be at the brunch because we needed that day to finalize the new structure. I told the others you wouldn't understand, that your emotions would get in the way. Maybe I was wrong, but the vote was already taken. I'm sorry." "Vote? What vote?" I flipped the page, but there was no second page. That was it. I sat down hard on Emily's couch, the air knocked out of me. "A vote?" I whispered. Emily sat next to me. I didn't know they were planning anything like that. I thought it was just a normal brunch. But then I found that letter after Cara left. My head spun. "They had a vote about me behind my back," I said slowly, the words tasting like ash. "And it wasn't just brunch," Emily added. "That lawyer's letter, it's about Grandma and Grandpa's old property. The lake house." I blinked. That place has been in the family for decades. Dad helped build it. Emily nodded. "And it's being sold." My heart sank. That place was the only thing that still felt like home. My dad had taken me fishing off the dock. Mom used to bake her blueberry muffins in that tiny oven. We even carved our names into the wood railing the summer I turned 9. I stood up, pacing now. They are selling it, without telling me, after voting me out of, what? Ownership? The will. Emily nodded. "It sounds like it." They lied. They all lied. And then I said something I didn't expect to come out of my mouth. "I'm going to find out why." Emily blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I'm done sitting around feeling left out. If they want to keep secrets, fine. But I'll find out the truth on my own. And when I do, I'll decide who gets to be in my life." Emily looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "You're serious?" I nodded. Absolutely. She reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out her phone. I think I can help. She scrolled through her texts, then turned the phone toward me. It was a group message between her, Uncle Rick, Aunt Denise, and another name I didn't recognize, Maureen Carter. The last message read, Maureen, the documents are signed. Rachel is officially removed. All we need now is a silence. I stared at the screen. My silence? Why? Before I could ask, Emily's doorbell rang. We both jumped. It was almost midnight. We looked at each other. No one ever came to Emily's place this late. She stood up slowly, her eyes wide. Do you think they know you're here? Another knock, louder this time. I whispered, Don't open it. But Emily was already moving, cautiously pulling back the curtain beside the door. Her face went pale. She turned to me. It's Kara. I rushed over. Sure enough, there she was, soaked from the rain, standing under the porch light with her hoodie up and something clutched in her arms. Emily cracked open the door. Kara stepped inside, dripping wet, breathing hard. I came straight from Aunt Denise's, she said, voice shaking. She knows I gave you the note. I tensed. What happened? Kara pulled the hoodie open, and inside, wrapped in plastic and duct tape, was a manila folder. I found this in her study. I think it's everything. My mouth went dry. Everything. She nodded. The vote. The estate. The reason they shut you out. She held the folder out to me, but before I could take it, there was another knock at the door. 3 loud bangs. Kara's face went white. That's not me, she whispered. Emily froze. We all stared at the door, and then we heard a voice. I know she's in there. It was Uncle Rick. If you don't open this door, we're going to have a problem. Emily's eyes filled with panic. What do we do? I clutched the folder tight and backed away from the door. Kara stepped forward, blocking the window. No one opens anything, she said. The knocking turned to pounding. Open up, Rachel. We need to talk. Emily turned to me. What do we do? I looked at the door, then at the folder, then at the back door. Run, I said. We run. Because I finally understood something. They weren't just keeping secrets. They were willing to protect those secrets. At any cost. The back door creaked as we slipped into the alley, the rain pounding down like it was trying to bury us. Kara gripped my arm as we ran. Emily right behind us, holding the hood of her sweatshirt low over her face. My sneakers slapped against puddles as adrenaline pushed me forward. Folder clutched to my chest like it was the only thing keeping me upright. Where do we go? Emily panted. My car's around the corner, Kara said. Come on. We ducked between 2 houses, hiding behind a dumpster just as headlights swept the alley from the other end. A black SUV crept slowly past the exit, and I caught a glimpse of Uncle Rick behind the wheel, scanning the area like a hawk. His mouth was tight, and for the first time in my life, he looked truly dangerous. Wait, I whispered, crouching lower. Why would he come himself? In the middle of the night? Just to stop us from seeing some estate papers. Kara looked at me, rain dripping off her lashes. Because it's more than estate papers, Rachel. I heard them talking. Aunt Denise, Rick, even your mom. They weren't just voting you out. They were hiding something. Something big. A chill ran down my spine, colder than the rain. Kara peeked out, then waved us forward. Now, go! We sprinted across the street to her beat-up Corolla, jumping in just as Uncle Rick's SUV turned the corner. He must have seen movement because the engine suddenly revved, headlights swinging our way. Go! Go! Gio! Emily shouted. Kara didn't wait. The tires screeched as she hit the gas, swerving hard down a side street. Then another. We drove in silence for a few minutes, hearts pounding in unison, until finally Kara pulled into a dimly lit parking lot behind a 24-hour laundromat. No cameras here, she said. They always park back here to sneak cigarettes. I sat back, heart still racing, and finally opened the folder. Inside were typed documents, some with official letterheads, lawyers' signatures, property transfers, family trust adjustments. At first it looked like boring legal jargon. Then I saw my name. Rachel Simmons is to be excluded from the Simmons Family Trust, effective March 12th. I stared at the line. They signed this before Easter. They already made a decision, Kara said quietly. I flipped to the next page. It was a scanned letter, handwritten, recognizable instantly, my grandmother's handwriting. Wait, I whispered. My grandma wrote me something. Emily leaned over, eyes wide. The letter was dated 2 years ago, just 3 months before she passed away. To my sweet Rachel, if you're reading this, it means they've done something I prayed they wouldn't. Your heart has always been your greatest strength, and maybe that's why they've turned on you. They don't understand your kindness. They see it as weakness. But I know better. My throat tightened. Kara reached out and squeezed my shoulder. There are things your grandfather and I kept in trust for you, separate from the family. We didn't tell them. We didn't want to, but I fear someone might try to bury the truth. I'm sorry. Sweetheart, look in the green box in the attic of the lake house. You'll find everything there. My hands trembled. The lake house. It had always held memories, but now it held secrets too. Kara stared at me. They don't know you have this, right? I shook my head. Emily whispered, we need to get to the lake house. But they're selling it, I said. That's probably why they rushed everything. To clear it out before I could find this. We go tonight, Kara said. Before they empty it. Before they destroy whatever your grandmother left. My heart pounded in my chest, louder than before. We made a quick stop at a gas station. Kara filled the tank while Emily grabbed snacks and water. I stayed in the car, staring down at that single line, look in the green box. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Don't go to the lake house. You're being watched. I stared at the message, cold sweat forming on my neck. A second later, another message followed. They know about the letter. My eyes shot up. The street was empty. Emily returned and noticed my expression. What's wrong? I showed her the phone. Her face paled. How would anyone? Then Kara jumped in the driver's seat. We have a problem, she said, turning the key. What now? I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she opened the glove box and pulled out a small GPS tracker. It was blinking. Emily gasped. How long has that been in there? Kara shook her head. No idea, but they've been following us the entire time. I gripped the folder tighter. We can't go home. Nope, Kara said. Emily looked between us, then finally said the words that would change everything. Let's take a back route to the lake house. We still have a shot to get there before they do. Kara nodded and turned onto the highway. For the next 2 hours, we drove in silence, watching the side mirrors constantly, heartbeats never quite settling. Every car behind us felt like a threat. Every turn we made could be our last. When we finally arrived at the lake house, it was almost 4 a.m. The place looked just like I remembered. Quiet, dark, the dock barely visible under moonlight. We crept inside with Kara's flashlight guiding the way. Dust covered the furniture. Sheets were draped over the chairs. The place hadn't been touched yet. We climbed the attic stays, and my chest tightened with every creak. The green box was exactly where she said it would be, tucked behind old photo albums and a broken fan. My hands shook as I opened it. There, inside, was a stack of envelopes, a set of old keys, and a black flash drive. I pulled the drive out slowly. It was labeled in faded ink, to be opened only if Rachel is betrayed. Suddenly, headlights. From the window, we saw 2 black cars pulling up the gravel drive. Kara swore under her breath. Emily froze, and I realized something that made my blood run cold. They didn't come to talk. They came to stop me. We had exactly 2 choices now. Run, or reveal everything. We had seconds. Kara grabbed the green box while I clutched the flash drive and letters to my chest. Emily yanked open the attic door just as voices shouted outside. Uncle Rick's deep voice echoing like a gunshot through the trees. They're already here, Kara whispered. I looked down from the attic window. Rick and Aunt Denise stepped out of the black SUV, flashlight sweeping across the porch. Behind them were 2 men in suits, definitely not family. They brought security. Emily asked in disbelief. No, I said, throat dry. They brought muscle. Back door, Kara said, leading us down the attic ladder. Now! We bolted through the kitchen, Emily knocking over a chair as we sprinted. Kara slid open the back door slowly, trying not to make noise. But the moment it creaked, Rick's voice rang out behind us. Rachel! I didn't tone. I ran. We stumbled through the wet grass, back toward the forest trail behind the lake house. Tree branches whipped my arms. I could hear heavy boots pounding behind us. Kara was ahead, Emily right behind me, panting, gasping. We can't outrun them, Emily cried. Yes, we can. I shouted. We have to. We finally reached the dirt road where Kara had hidden her car behind a fallen tree. She fumbled for the keys, hands shaking, while I stuffed the flash drive deep into my sock, just in case. Then, a voice boomed. Don't move. A flashlight hit my face. Rick, gun drawn. You don't understand what's at stake, he growled. That drive doesn't belong to you. Yes, it does, I said, standing between him and Kara. Grandma left it for me. I read her letter. His eyes flickered. You read it. I read everything. He lowered the gun for a second, his face tense. Then you know what's on that drive. Do you have any idea what it would do to this family? I didn't blink. What did you do, Rick? He didn't answer, but that silence was enough. Behind me, Kara finally got the car started. Rick stepped closer, raising the gun again. Give me the drive. And then, red and blue lights lit up the road. 2 police cruisers tore around the corner, tires skidding in the mud, sirens off, but lights flashing. Someone must have called them. Rick froze. Emily screamed. I threw myself to the side as 2 officers leapt out, guns raised. Drop your weapon. Rick hesitated. Too long. The cops swarmed him, disarmed him, and shoved him to the ground. Aunt Denise came running from the woods, shrieking. The 2 men in suits melted into the darkness. I stood there, heart in my throat, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. An officer approached me. Are you Rachel Simmons? Yes, I said, voice barely a whisper. Are you safe? Is that the drive? I nodded slowly, pulling it from my sock. The officer said, gently, you might want to sit down. This is bigger than you know. He helped me to the ground, jacket draped around my shoulders. What's on it? Emily asked. I don't know, I whispered, but Grandma did. Later, at the station, while Kara and Emily waited outside, I sat across from a plainclothes detective. He held a flash drive carefully, like it was a ticking bomb. You sure you want to see this? He asked. I nodded. He plugged it into the laptop. On the screen were dozens of documents, some flagged confidential, many with the Simmons family name on them. Bank transfers, tax evasion schemes, properties hidden under shell companies, money that had been laundered, some as recent as a few months before Grandma died. Your grandmother must have discovered all this, the detective said. It looks like she started documenting everything, but before she could go to the authorities. She died, I finished, numb. Wasn't just cancer, was it? He paused. We'll look into it, he said. But with what you brought us, you've just blown open a case that's been buried for years. That night, I sat in Kara's guest room, the green box beside me. I reread the letter from Grandma. They don't understand your kindness, but I know better. I thought about all the times I let that coldness slide, about how I kept trying to belong in a family that had already decided I didn't. But maybe I wasn't the weak one. Maybe I was the only one strong enough to stand up to them. The next morning, the news broke. Local family empire under investigation after granddaughter exposes financial scandal. Their pictures were everywhere. Aunt Denise, Uncle Rick, Cousin Brian. None of them smiled anymore. But me? I finally breathed free. It would take time. The investigation would stretch for months, maybe years. But I had what mattered, the truth, and 2 people who never left my side. Kindness didn't make me weak. It saved me. And maybe, just maybe, it would save someone else too. Subscribe for more videos and do support our channel.